Hey YouTube, welcome back to iiiiiiiiiiiit, and today I wanted to actually go over my gamma list for Otakon / maybe even Gen Con. I found that one, I don't have the time off for Otakon, I'm trying to do a lot of things in real life, and two, Gen Con's actual event kind of sold out, and my dumb self was so wrapped up in like personal real life stuff that I didn't even think to like just lock those in ahead of time. So a little disappointing for me, but I am trying to make some big moves, and if everything can, pull together correctly, maybe I'm looking at a different job, definitely a different home, and we can keep going on this, train of content. Now, some people may wonder, dude, why don't you have a shirt on? Well, that's actually because of my last video. Giancarlo just straight up said, cool video and all, bro, but why are you wearing a shirt? So I thought, you right? So here I am. So we're gonna have this entire video with me just chilling. Check the traps, do stuff like this. I mean, hit a flex or something, like, I don't know. We're just gonna do this entire video without a shirt just because he said so. So, yeah. What I do want to say is right now, if you haven't already and you want to join the Universe X family, think about hitting that subscribe button, notification button, like the video, and yeah, join in the Discord so we can talk. I'm trying to be in there more often than I used to be, just trying to juggle all that, but I do want to be able to talk to you guys often. So yeah, it's always gonna be a fun time. And then past that, if you want to help a bro out very much so, go over to my second channel, iiiiiiiiiiit, where I play Dragon Ball related video games, and subscribe there. If I had half you guys just do that, I'll be monetizing that channel within the next month, and I'd be able to really start actually making money off of YouTube, and that would help me kind of further my dream and be a lot more flexible. Past that, the last little plug I want to give, PPG. There you can find singles sealed of both this game, Digimon, and One Piece pre-orders too. And there's just a lot of stuff that you'll be able to find up there. And plus they happen to be the best tournament organizers that we have in this game. So yeah, go down to my description, find that link, and find you something you want to buy on PPG. So let's actually just jump into the other view, and yeah, let's talk about the list. Because the main purpose of this video is learning how to counter Gamma. Playing Gamma, just because it's going to be a much more popular, just, mirror at this point. So like I said, the entire purpose of this video is more or less to be able to understand how not only the list changed, but how I was anticipating the meta shifts that I kind of saw from Philly. So just to get into it, we are going to look at the deck list and then we're gonna move from there. So to look at the deck list, we're gonna be pretty short. Some of it has changed, some of it is not. I still like a 2-2 split. I was thinking about upping these, but in all honesty, when I up these, there are times where I do like the pressure that this can provide. This is searchable, but at the end of the day, it's only really effective on your turn, whereas this effective on both turns. So I do kind of really like the idea of having a 2-2 split. So I still have a 2-2 split in super combos. Of course, we're gonna be running 4 of the Oceanus. That's just kind of how that is. Now, the first addition to my list that's going to be massively changing is that I'm going to be playing 3 inorganic horrors, the 15s, and this is actually very, very, very integral to the mirror as well as some other matchups. So looking at this, you've got deflect, play this card, and if the battle card being played has an energy of 3 or less, return it to its owner's hand. That's pretty cool. And then permanent, when your leader card is a blue red ribbon army card, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by paying its energy cost, so it can be used from your energy. Not exactly the best place to have it, only because if it's in your energy, your opponent can play around it, but they should kind of be knowing that you're going to be having this card anyway, as long as they're just well versed in the matches. So looking at this, he also has permanent Bond 3 blue android. This card gains plus 1,000 power or 10,000 power. Sorry, I've been playing One Piece. So really he's gonna be able to swing for 15k in a lot of cases. So yeah, the thing about this guy is that there are certain things he does hit very, very well. Now, like in the mirror, you're going to be basically using him to cut off topos from your opponent, like the Android 14s that come down for the floodgates. And then you're also going to be using him to stop the androids on the off chance that your opponent is stuck in energy and it's the only one they have, because you can potentially mess up their energy for one turn or keep a card that shouldn't be in their energy for another turn. So he's actually very, very integral. However, in other positions, he actually does play certain things fairly well. He can stop cards like the smaller pan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He stops. Now, it sucks to kind of use them against Trunks Vegeta because they'll stop the evolve, but they'll have it in hand, so it only takes one more energy for them to just re-tap it. So in all honesty, what you've allowed them to do is draw off of the EX evolve twice that turn. And that's actually at that point almost a plus, because you literally let them EX evolve and they draw one from their leader, and then they draw one from the EX evolve, and you bounce it back to their hand. They just look left, look right, EX evolve again, and then they just draw another card, and that's just wild. So don't do that. Do not do that. Unless that like Trunks is going to cause you game and they've already tapped out, do not do that. So yeah, but this card is actually MVP in the mirror. Then what we're going to next put down is the Android 14s. There's so much come into play hate that I don't want to max out on these, but these are still very, very good. It's part of the reason why the deck stays alive. I'm still doing a 4-2 split because I think 6 is just the perfect number of these. I never am seeing a point where I'm like, man, I just can't find these androids. They're always there. That 17 is the better one just because it has barrier. Then you have 18, and 18 of course has crit, but it's just really round up the numbers. Next, we have 3 Let the Battle Begins. This card is super, super duper amazing. This is the card you want to use against the cells. This is the card in the one drops cells, and you know what I mean. And the what? Expert deck, not the expert deck, sorry, the ultimate deck. These are also the ones you want to use against the EX evolves to put them at the bottom of the deck. These are the ones that you can use on 4-drop Sin. There's just a lot of good cards that this hits. It's actually just astounding. In the matches that it's really good in, it's like almost backbreaking when used correctly. And then in every matchup, there's generally just something you can do with these cards. So Let the Battle Begin, sitting it there. Of course, the taps here, very, very staple. You have to use them just because not only are they going to fix your energy for cell plays, but they're also going to allow you to use Arrival if you do the blue-green Arrival packages, and they're also just mad pressure. The thing about Gamma that a lot of people don't realize is that when your opponent taps out and you have a window to go brazy, you can go brazy. Like if you went first and it's your turn 3, lots of people don't understand that Gamma in that turn 3 can literally swing with a leader swing. It can swing with an Android 17, they can swing with a dual Android twice for 20k, and then they can -4 for their unison and swing 2 times for a 25k. That is one swing at 20k, another swing at 5k, you can put it up to, or 15k, you can put it up to 20k with a single ape. 2 swings at 20k and 2 swings at 25k. That is legitimately 7 freaking swings, except it's 6 because sometimes I can't count. But that is 6 swings, and chances are, if you're going first and this is your next turn, your second turn was playing your unison, awakening, swinging once, swinging twice. One of those at least is probably going to get through just because it's early game. So your opponent should be at 6 life when you swing 6 times over their 10 to 15k leader. And so yeah, this can potentially be a lot of pressure. And once you put your opponent down to a point where they're sitting there with like 4 life and had to awaken out of sequence, or they're sitting at 3 life and they held their awakening, depending on what's going on, it just makes the rest of the game so much more rough because Cell is absolute pressure and you don't want to be on the opposite end of it. The first time it's swinging, normally with the unison established, it's swinging for 35k, so it's just a lot. 2 stalwarts, mainly because these guys do put in work. Against decks that aren't removal heavy, you can put him down for your revenge blocker, and he's just very good at what he does. He's also a dual attack 20k, so he's just more pressure. You can put him in to, combo out an attack and make your opponent discard a card, and if he survives, he's gonna swing 20k 2 times. You can combo aggressively and play him, make your opponent discard, and he's still going to be able to swing twice. So this guy is actually just a very, 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 very good card in this deck, and I do love playing him. I did switch one, Turning the Tide, to the main, just because you always need a game plan against the decks that go long, even though this could be a best of one, or a Priest-Eye best of one deck. If I am treating it like it could be a not that, I think it's just very, very, very good to have this in game 1. You never know when the game could go that long. You could be facing Bulma and the game could just get dragged out. You could be facing Trunks Vegeta and the game can get dragged out, but you never know when you're gonna want this one. This also can be killer in the mirror as long as you just followed up your opponent's turn with just a cell. As long as you just celled the previous turn, you probably have a good space to play that and then stay in the game. Of course, Hatch. There's no reason not to play Hatch. 4 Cell. I see some people playing 3. I literally lost a mirror match in Philly, making one of my 2 only losses because I never saw a Cell when I had all 4 in deck, none in life. So, no. I'm just going to be playing 4 Cell. One second, my cats are messing around with a plastic bag, and I am so tired of it. Stop it. So, 4 monkeys. I see a lot of people going back and forth on this. I believe that 4 monkeys is the absolute truth. You have so many spaces to discard them, whether it's through Android 14, whether it's through Hatch, whether it's defensive combo, whether it's offensive combo. You have so many places to discard this, and your energy is so freaking flexible. Turns 3, turns 4, because sometimes people will not have a board that you want to sell. You could do better with just single target removal, like Realm of the Gods, or the dual androids, if so you have, like, if you just have the right setup. So there's just a lot of times where I feel like this is just the move. You just have so many gaps to use it, and against hand control, it's like backbreaking. Like the turns where hand control is trying to do hand control things, and you're just like +1 Majin Buu, draw. Okay, do all my swings. Okay, remove a monkey, draw. Okay, end of turn, draw 1, and then you're just sitting there like you just went up 4 cards, and they're not ripping 4 cards in a turn unless they're hitting you with a cell turn. So it really kind of takes the hand destruction factor out of Cooler, and so that's what I like it for. Next, you have got the androids. This is just the best unison for the deck. I will die on that hill. It's much harder to kill. It's offensive pressure. It's just wonderful. Don't sleep on it. 1 Majin Buu, because this deck or this card definitely gets in Red's way, but it also hurts like things like Ultimate Cell. It's actually just a really good card in general, and even when you don't break a matchup with it, resolving it and just keeping it in the field generally puts you in a much safer place and gives you more cards per turn, plus more energy economy. If you thought untapping 3 was whack, think about untapping 4, because untapping 4 is super whack. Now, we got 2 Dirty Burst. This was at 3, but I do find that a lot of the times I am seeing Dirty Burst a little too much, so I don't mind siding the 3rd one in. But right now, I think it's down to 2 in the main if we're going off of a best of 3 look. Then you've got 2 Chilled Army Reinforcements. Card is also very good. You find that in this deck you can hard cast it a lot more often than other decks, but yeah, that means it's not dead even if you're at 6 life, which I ended a lot of my games at 6 life. Then 4 of these, because you were always untapping 3, so you generally have the energy to play it. It is going to be a draw 1 10k, so essentially another super combo, and on top of being another super combo, it's actually just removal on your turn. There's so many things this card does, and if you're not playing at least 3, I think you're just kind of cracked in a bad way. Now when it comes to side deck, before we talk about the mirror, I have 2 flex slots, but I have my 4th Let the Battle Begins. Of course, applicable matchups you bring it in. I have my 4th my 2nd Turning the Tide. Again, longer matchups, you put it in. 3 Kami Global Unifiers. These go in for Bulmas. These also can go in for Trunks Vegeta, because their boards can get very wide. This is just going to be such a game resetter, and you always will have the energy to start playing this and have your defensive turns open. So this is a 3 energy play, but then you untap 3. It just kind of fits hand in hand. And if you can keep the tempo in Gamma, like it's just disgusting, because you have cards in Gamma that will just definitely rip the tempo in your favor after you clear board, like Cell. Cell will just start picking up the hand. Kami's picking up the board. Cell just cleaned up whatever they put on the board after you Kami'd. It's really strong. 3 Mechagabora, the Broken Seals. There's a lot of linear decks, and I found in Philly that this card is just too good for Gamma. It's like anytime I'm just like, wow, I don't really feel like I can like mess, or I really don't want to run into their main plays. You just play this card and you really just make them rue the day. Against Xeno or the Ultimate Cell, I would just call the middle piece like the 4-drop and make it so they couldn't go into anything. And then I would be able to, or the 1-drop if they don't have a 1-drop on board, but sometimes they do. Then I'd be able to, then later in the game, if I see the second one, just call the 7-drop and they can't just rip my entire hand. So this is just doing a lot of good things. Against Goku, UI Goku, I also used it in order to just be like, okay, well, this turn you're not using your secret rare, and that was the only card I was afraid of, so it just kind of folded the game from there. 2nd Majin Buu for them red matchups and any applicable matchups. 3rd for pretty much the same red matchups / applicable matchups. And then what we're going to have here is 3 Sensu Beans. Once again, aggro matchups, I find that I don't really need this on defense very often. Now, seeing that U7 aggro has kind of started cropping up, like Supreme U7 aggro, this may be something that I may switch to the side. It just takes more testing, but I will not be going to any events. And by the time we get to Nationals, I believe we have at least Zenkai set 1 out, possibly set 2 as well. So it's gonna be a completely different block if I'm not mistaken. So, hey, I just wanted to put the news out before anything because, like I said, I know I'm not going to be going to Otakon. Now, when it comes to the mirror, I do want to say that this deck is meant to take care of the mirror a lot. And I'm going to put the biggest culprits off to the side on why the mirror can be handled so readily in this deck. So, first and foremost, I will say that if your floodgates aren't turned off, then dual attack is one of the strongest things that can happen versus Gamma, okay? And what I mean by this, here we go. The cards that I'm laying out right now are the most important cards in the mirror, hands down. Hands down. There we go. And I'm gonna go over them and explain why. So, when it comes to, I'll start the extra cards first. Dirty Burst is going to be a great card because when your opponent hits you with a cell, yes, it'll bottom deck everything without barrier, but Dirty Burst is going to make sure that your opponent cannot swing and take a card from your hand with a cell. You're going to be able to Dirty Burst, replace it in hand, and then your opponent can't swing with cell, meaning they aren't pressuring out of your hand, but they also aren't ripping a card out of your hand via effect when you counter. So this is actually monumental. You do need to be playing Dirty Burst versus the mirror. Now, when it comes to this, I want to point out that a lot of the times you will have overcosted things on a Gamma player's board, whether it be the dual droids, whether it be the cell, or sometimes they'll drop their hatch too. And the thing about it is you might think, okay, well, I just have cell or I have the dual droids. But the cell and dual droids are finite, you know? If you run through 3 cells and then you never see your 4th and your opponent starts selling after you've already used your cells, you could potentially put yourself in a position where you could really just lose momentum of the game. I find that unless I can break somebody's board in half, like a glow stick, I don't want to usually sell. The first person to sell in a Gamma match, a lot of the times you're gonna be losing a race of momentum. So when it comes to the Gamma matchup, I do like amassing a board that has a lot of these guys on it because it is extremely hard for your opponent to get over your Android 17s outside of attacking them. So on turns where you get floodgated, you can just hang them back. On turns, like always swing with your leader first because it's blue. They can't really punish you for swinging with your leader first, but if you swing with these, you're gonna open them up to attack. But when your opponent isn't able to floodgate you, it's all about pressure. Turn these bad boys sideways. Make them burn the Sensu if they have it. Make them burn Mad Hand if they don't. When it comes to the Sensu, you have cards that can swing above it. You will find that in your Gamma matchups, managing your opponent's 17 is supremely advantageous. If you don't have a 17 on board, or a 17-18 on board, it's just your fault. Like if you're playing Hate Unison, your Unison is just gonna get smoked and it's not gonna obtain the value that these will. These guys will pressure your opponent. Your opponent can Sensu and these guys will swing over you for way more than that Sensu. So being able to keep this Unison healthy and getting its -4 off on the mirror as many times as possible, very, very, very helpful. Like I said, Cell, very, very good. Cell does a lot of things. Your opponent tries to floodgate you and Cell is technically taking 3 cards of their hand. The floodgate, the cost of the floodgate, and another card. However, like I said before, playing Cell just completely haphazardly can really hurt you. Only use it when you need to use the momentum of a full board clear. Because outside of that full board clear, you have Realm of the Gods, and you have the dual droids to pick up the pace in terms of single target removal. Like I said, you don't want to get caught lacking. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is sometimes if you can attack your opponent's cell, if like that can go through, I would do it. Like if you're at a point where you're not going to kill your opponent, I would not think you're that bad for swinging on your opponent's cell with a cell, especially if you're the Android and you're going to 35 minimum, because your opponent has to combo out of that. But on top of that, if the cell goes to the grave instead of going to the bottom of the deck when you would, bounce it particularly, you're going to be in a good position. You're just going to be in a good position. They can't just like Android it back to the top. That's another thing. If you are getting your cells bounced, it's not a surefire way but you can start using your androids to shuffle your deck in hopes of finding more cells. You know, the first android will shuffle your deck, the second android will attempt to find it. But that's pretty much that. The last little bit I wanted to talk about the mirror is actually these. You will find that your first couple of turns will be getting floodgated. And that's fine, because I found that once the floodgates are off, that's when the gloves come off and you can really start trying to get in your opponent's cheeks and vice versa. However, when you start playing these, this is the scary part. Don't just waste these on a 1-for-1 basis. Wait until your field is stacked. Wait until your opponent has that 3 energy up and they hit you with a floodgate and you go, yeah, no, Android 15, inorganic horror, negate that floodgate. And then I need to make you reproduce it, use a super combo and reproduce it, use a sensu, reproduce it. Either way, you potentially break the game right there. I have had games end on turn 5 because somebody hit me with the inorganic horror and then immediately were hit with my inorganic horror, the Android 15, and they didn't have hatch and it just folded them. So yeah, that is actually what this card's for in the mirror. You break it. This is your Swift Retaliation cooler, and it's only because in the mirror, when your board gets wide enough, this is it. But yeah, you have to, it's a constant game of tempo when it's Gamma versus Gamma. You are constantly sitting in a position where you want to stop your opponent's attacks, but you also want to maintain a board that can't be destroyed by Cell. So you're going to have a lot of Android 17s, your Unison, you might only put 1 or 2 sellable cards. But on top of that, your opponent has to be smart, because bouncing a card to the bottom of your deck means you could potentially get it later. So you want to be in a really interesting position of being able to just swing on certain targets instead of just letting them go. Like it becomes a very, very, very big mind game, and I would love to play against some people if you want to understand what I mean, but it becomes a huge mind game. Sometimes you might let them swing once or twice more than they should, because turning that Android 14 sideways will allow me to swing on it next turn before I nuke your board to the bottom of the deck, in order to make sure that you don't get to play that floodgate on me again after I've already countered 1 or 2 of them. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the Gamma Mirror, just leave them down in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. And all in all, I'm just super, super, super excited to see where this game goes. Good luck to everybody going to Otakon, and good luck to everybody going to Gen Con. Of course, I'm gonna make more videos before both of these events, but yeah, let me know if you like the kind of content. It was a little bit of a longer video, but there's a lot to talk about, and I will see you guys the next time you decide to join Universe X. Later.